We can start. I'm gonna share my screen. Be brave. Okay, let me know once you see it. Oh no, wait. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Just as an FYI, I do not see any of you, so I hope you're all smiling and nodding and being supportive. And for all of you who are year 3 and are speakers for today, feel free at any time to interrupt me and add on to everything that is here. We didn't really go into specific about the case itself because it's a bit different from what we have last year, but I tried very much to base it on the survival guide that you received and also on the information that we had from the coordinators of the project. Okay, so we will start with how the event will be conducted. In case you didn't know, there's already a set order for the opening, and that is the Office of the Prosecutor, the Office of Public Counsel for Victims, the competent authorities of Myanmar, and now here comes the Latin amicus curiae. Hope it's okay if present. Also, it's very important to remember that basically you have only 7 minutes where you need to be actually engaged and speak. So you have 5 minutes for the main pleading and 2 minutes for the rebuttal. I would encourage you to record yourself before the actual final event and see how long does it take for you to do the entire speech, and also maybe record yourself while you're presenting. I will mention some of it a bit later in the presentation as well. But basically, even though it is online, they also stress out in the survival guide that you need to maintain eye contact. And it is a bit difficult, of course, to check because it is online and it's not like they're actually face to face with you, so they don't really get to see it specifically. But in any event, like try to have to look like how I'm looking now, because I'm looking straight at the camera. Whereas if I'm looking at what I wrote, I think you can tell. So that is about the opening bit. Of course, try to be available before the session starts. You know, do not be late because they do kind of take notice of that. Also, you should have your cameras on and the microphones muted if you're not speaking. The judge, who I'm pretty sure will be similar to what we have, and it will be lecturers like our tutors and yeah, members of the faculty members. They will open the session, say something formally, introduce, and so on, and then invite each one of you in this order. So whatever it is, like this is the set order for the event, just so you know. And of course, you can only start speaking once you have been invited to. So do not. I mean, you can ask questions if you really need to know something. For example, last year in my case, my camera didn't work. For some reason, it just didn't open. So of course, like I had to interrupt the judge and like tell him, you know, Your Honor, I'm sorry, my camera is not working. It was also in the beginning of the whole online school thing. So I think that's why they didn't really take points for me. But now, since we're kind of like experts on online schooling, I don't think it's going to go well if you say that your camera is not working. I know it can happen, and I know it's unfortunate, but just you know, just to keep it in the back of your mind, I'm not sure if they will react positive to the camera not being on this time around. Okay, then for the appropriate language, I think if there's a part that is really important for this particular project is language, because that's really like where you can get it a bit wrong. Because for the arguments that you make and things like this, of course, content is important, but they're not going to like deduct specific points if your arguments are not good as well as you present them, or like you're convincing in the arguments that you are addressing. But you really need to be mindful of the language because it's something that is already set, you know, and we had to use it as well. So whatever happens, the very first sentence of the moot court and of the project, and it's not only for this particular moot court, but in general, it's "May it please the court." Then you state your name. My name is, and then I'm appearing today on behalf of. So this is like the set phrase that you need to use for sure. Do not forget to use it because they will deduct points. And of course, as the survival guide also mentions it, you can like work on it a bit and like say, you know, depending on whether you have a tutor or a tutee, if it's like Madam or Mr. or President or Your Honor and whatever, but you really need to have like "May it please the court." Like that's the first thing that they need to hear when you do your speech, or like the first thing that they will look for basically. Also, it's very, very important to remember who you are arguing for. So look again in the course description and everything that you did so far. I know it's quite a lot of information up until this point. And for the actual like final speech, you're not going to use everything that you worked on so far, of course. But it is very important that you know who you're arguing with, who you are against, and you know you're very secure of the case itself. As in any speech, like you need to start with an argument that is very clear and persuasive. I will give you concrete examples after this slide, I think. Yeah, and you need to be like confident, succinct, and also you need to make sure that the arguments are in favor or against the case, depending on again who you are arguing for. Okay, so these are the examples. The first one is the one that you have in your course description, and this is on behalf of the competent authorities of Myanmar. Would you want me to read them out loud, or I mean, I can definitely do that. Just let me know what would work for you. Should I do that? Maybe someone who's year 3 would want to read it out loud.
Sure, I can go ahead.
Okay, perfect.
I'm sure people are taking screenshots, so they will be able to read this later. But yeah, okay, the competent authorities of Myanmar, if the court was to find that there is a reasonable basis to conclude that the crime of genocide has occurred, all the elements of the crime happened exclusively on the territory of Myanmar, which the ICC has no territorial jurisdiction. And while I'm saying this, I think I was also speaking quite fast, and I think one huge thing is like when you're having the actual event, don't speak fast, take pauses, because that actually has a huge impact on your grade. So yeah, I can pass the floor back to Mara.
Yes, thank you. Now this and the next one are from speeches that we did. I kind of deleted the name, but fair warning, they are quite similar because one is mine and the other one is one of my friends. So just keep it in the back of your mind that they're not very, very different. But yeah, I mean, it's a great example of how if you have the same, if you represent the same authority as maybe someone who's close with you, you can kind of have it, you know, a bit different. And maybe Ada would like to read this out loud. Sorry that I'm putting you on the spot.
Don't worry, sure. May it please the court, my name is Ada, appearing today on behalf of the Office of the Public Counsel for Victims. I'm here to address the current situation in Myanmar. Violation of humanitarian and human rights law have been a severe problem and in need of immediate actions. The Rohingya population has been under attack for quite some time, with conduct such as torture, deportation, unrightfully imprisonment, and a lot more.
Great. And this one, maybe David wants to read it out loud. Or not?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. My name is David Mustafa, and I appear today on behalf of the Office of Public Counsel for Victims. I'm here to address the current situation in Myanmar. The case concerns above all the justice, or better said, the lack of justice that is currently present in that region, seeing as the national authorities have no intention to prosecute the brutal and inhumane acts committed by Myanmar. These acts represent clear violation of humanitarian and human rights law and constitute a severe problem that is in need of immediate actions. The Rohingya population has been under attack for quite some time, with conducts such as torture, deportation, unrightful imprisonment, and so much more.
Thank you. And I think that's a great example on how you should do it pace-wise, because even though it is like 5 minutes, you really need to take your time and try to be as convincing as possible. And I would really say also try to be not a bit dramatic, but like as you see here, it says that, you know, this case concerns above all justice, or better said, the lack of justice. So it's fairly similar to how they said you should approach the MUN opening speech. You know, you need to, as one of my friends would say, like hook the audience, you know, even if it's like just one of your tutors or someone that you already know, like a lecturer, you still need to appear, you know, quite engaged. And you can also, I think you can be a bit dramatic. Maybe it's just my point of view, but I still think you need to make the best of it, because it's a speech in the end of the day. So it's going to be graded mainly on how you deliver it and how convincing you are in the arguments that you are making. So yeah, don't be shy of making it, you know, a bit, try to make it a bit to stand out, I think. Okay, now a big thing which they stressed a lot in the survival guide, and as well I think in the general assemblies that you have, is the roadmap. So basically how the argument should be structured. I think it's very clear how they said it, but I will just go over everything once, just in case you haven't had the time to look at the guidebook, or not guidebook, survival guide, sorry. Okay, so after you introduce yourself, so the first bit that we told you about, like may it please the court, and basically after you do this entire thing, sorry, where you have like an introduction and you say exactly like the situation and who you are representing. Don't forget to say who you are representing, very important. You should identify 2 or 3, but definitely no more than 3. I did 2, for example. So you need to identify like 2 or 3 issues that you will approach and discuss during the speech that you are making. And also the oral argument that you have should be outlined in this order. So the reasons which are contained within the roadmap should be the highest level of your outline. So you start with those. And then the body of your argument should expand the reasons that you listed in the roadmap. So the 2 things that you identified, you have to discuss those 2. And then you do the conclusion that you would want the court to reach based on who you are representing. In the slides, I'm sorry, I put the conclusion before the body of your argument because that's how the survival guide did it, but it makes no sense. It's like you first say what you want to discuss, and then the argument, like the body, and then the conclusion. So just keep that in mind, because in the survival guide that you have there also, like the order is how it is on the screen, but it should be like, what are you saying, argument, and then conclusion. Okay, and now again for examples, I will also torture my friends for year 3 and make them read it out loud. So I think Daniel, you didn't do it last time.
Yeah, sure thing. So through this submission, the Office of Public Counsel for Victims is seeking a decision from the court to establish jurisdiction for 2 reasons. First of all, this court should grant jurisdiction over this matter on the basis of territorial jurisdiction. And second of all, the jurisdiction of the court should cover the crimes committed by the Myanmar state against Article 7 of the Rome Statute, with special reference to paragraph 1D.
Okay, thank you, perfect. So basically this is this bit that they're saying, like you should identify the 2, 3 issues that you want to discuss, and also basically this part, that it should be the highest level of your outline. So here I think make it as clear as possible. I put it like this, like I separated the paragraphs specifically, so kind of to make pauses, like you do first of all, and then the first argument, and then second of all, but they need to be very distinct, like you need to make them very clear, because I think that will definitely be something that they are looking for specifically. And now important, this is again something that is from basically all of this is based on the survival guide, because I wanted to make it as accurate as possible for you guys. But they are saying that you should memorize your opening and your roadmap. So basically this part, and also this part. Like these 2, they're saying you should memorize, which I think it's kind of fair. It's not really that much. And I mean, at this point, like we're all used to doing things online, and we kind of know how to cheat the system a bit in a way. So we kind of know like where to look, or like how to make it as though it appears we're actually like, speaking and not reading it out loud. But I still think you really need to know kind of, you need to kind of know them by heart, or at least try to, because of course you're going to have the speech on your screen, but just try to be very sure of it before you actually say it. Also, another thing that they're stressing is the eye contact, which I also mentioned in the beginning. Try as much as possible to look at the camera. Or I think another tip is that if you really do not have the time to learn it, just look at some point on your screen, but do not look at the camera. Like if you are not for sure you do not have the time to learn it by heart, don't try to go back and forth, because then it's very noticeable. So just keep your face on not your face. I mean, yes, your face. Just keep your eyes like only on the screen, because that way they cannot really tell that you weren't looking at the camera. Or at least that worked for me in one of the things. So maybe don't take it by heart, but I think it's still a tip that can be mentioned. And also, again, try to be passionate about what you're saying. It is not really long, like you only have 5 minutes for the actual speech. and that's it. Like that's basically the main part that you need to do. So you really need to be engaged whilst you're saying that. So it shows that you really not care about it, but it's something that genuinely sparked your interest and that you are prepared for. And again, try to remember all the tips that they gave you for the MUN opening speech. I know it was quite a while ago. But if you need a reminder, we also have the recording of the simulation for the MUN project on YouTube. So if you want to maybe have some kind of tips about how should like a speech kind of be structured, we had a presentation from the winner of not this year, last year, MUN, which was Altamar. So he gave a presentation on the speech. Feel free to watch that again if you want to. But I think like by this point, you all kind of are familiar with opening speeches and speeches in general, or yeah, how to sound that you're interested in what you're saying, basically. Okay, order. This I kind of touched upon before as well, but the body of your argument should discuss first, of course, the first issue in your roadmap. So the first thing that you said that you would like to discuss. Then after your argument, very important, do not pause or ask for questions. I know they said they said to you that the judge can at any time interrupt you for questions, but do not wait for his questions. Like you continue with your speech and they will interrupt you when he or she sees fit. But basically do not wait for the questions and make sure that you do not pause or like you wait kind of for their reaction to what you're saying. Just continue with your argument as it is, and be mindful if they do stop you and ask you a question to just like pick it up from where the argument was. So you kind of need to also look at the speech during the portion where the judge asks you a question, and then directly move to where you left. I hope that makes sense, but if not, we can go over that again in the Q&A portion, because I don't think I was very clear. But anyways, I will go over this entire thing a bit later as well. Okay, and now for the conclusion. Again, this is something that is kind of like already prepared for you, so you just really need to follow this this requirement. So you need to end with a very clear statement when where it says specifically what you are asking the court to do. So something like this, like for the foregoing reasons, I respectfully request that the court to either grant or deny, depending on who you are representing, extending the scope of the investigation to include the crime of genocide, which is Article 6. And then you need to also finish with this very well-established formality that we all used, which is, if I can be of no further assistance, your honors, this concludes submissions of the, and now whoever you are representing. I also put an example, but it's basically just the thing that I just wrote. For the foregoing reasons, I respectfully request that the court to grant, I respectfully request that the court, wow, okay, so this is a typo, do not do that. But it should say, I respectfully request the court to grant the jurisdiction, but also mention the article, because this can be like a what not to do example, okay? So first of all, check to make sure that it is in the correct English language, like, you know, correct writing, and then make sure to also say which exact article are you referring to. Even though it's already known, it's always good to reiterate your arguments. And then, of course, in the end, it can just be like, if I can be of no further assistance, your honors, this concludes the submissions of the Office of Public Counsel for Victims. It's very simple, but it's something that you need to be mindful of, and definitely don't forget to say these exact words, because they will be looking for those as well. And now, the part where I think all of you are a bit scared about, or at least that's the feeling that I got from the questions that you submitted, and from all the year 2 members in ILSA, the rebuttal. It is not as difficult as they make it sound, or as it may sound for you, because first of all, it's 2 minutes per person. That's set. There's no more, no less, and there's also not really a chance where it's back and forth. So it's not a debate, you're just basically, again, saying something which you can already have prepared. So it's not really difficult, trust me. But basically, the main gist of it is that after all the parties are presented all their arguments, the judge will invite again the counsel to take the floor. Remember, the order is the same. So again, the Office of the Prosecutor, Office of Public Counsel for Victims, and so on, like you already know the order. But it's also good to know that this is not going to change in any way. So if you're office of the prosecutor, be prepared as soon as the arguments are finished to go on to the rebuttal, and you will be starting basically. So what do you need exactly to do? There are two situations. Either you rebut an argument from another party to the proceedings, so something basically which you are not in agreement of, or you reinforce an argument that another counsel made, which is basically on your side. I think this is the simplest that can be explained. You either say something which is like, I do not agree with, like, but of course in the respectful language, which I will be again going over a bit later. But you can actually go either against the an argument or just reinforce an argument that the counsel already made. So these are the only two situations. Personally, but again, do not quote me on it, I think the easiest way to do it is just to reinforce an argument, because that counsel is basically the one that is on your side. So you basically find an argument that you also have, and you develop it a bit more, and you reinstate again what you stated. But that being said, I do kind of feel like they will be a bit more appreciative if you're actually rebutting an argument from the other party, because in a way that shows that you're also paying attention, and do pay attention actually to the session. But in any way, like, they're not going to take points if you're reinforcing an argument or if you're just rebutting. So it's completely up to you. Also important, do not forget to keep decorum throughout the entire session, because you will have to have the camera on. You will be muted when the others speak, but they're still gonna see your face, of course. So you need to refer to your opponents with the following manner. So my learned, maybe not this one because I think it sounds very weird, but maybe my honorable representative of. Personally, I think my learned friend or colleague sounds a bit bizarre, but of course it's up to you. I just think it sounds a bit better to say the honorable representative of, and then you say the argument. And it's again like only 2 minutes, so nothing extreme. Definitely not something that you need to be worried about. But basically, in the actual rebuttal, if your opponent has misstated a fact that for sure it's not this way, you can correct it. Like, that can be a rebuttal. But please be mindful that it needs to be in a way that both helps your argument, and it's also respectful, like polite. So you can say, like, I believe my learned colleague of Office of the Public Counsel of Victims misspoke when discussing this point. Or you say, like, I would just like to clarify a point from the record, and you say what exactly that fact is. But here you need to be really sure of that fact. Like, you need for sure to be like, oh, this is wrong. Like, I know how this is supposed to sound. This is not the correct way. So be mindful of that. And also, when you are rebutting your opponent, you first need to know, like, that. So basically, like, when you're rebutting your opponent, it's in two situations where your argument was heard. So they basically go against something that you said in your speech, and you basically get back to them and say, like, oh, this is not the way, or like, this is why I believe, like, this is in this particular manner, basically. Or if you have ammunition. So this is like the material fact, for example, that this is something very wrong, but in this situation, for sure, you need to have like a legal basis. You need to know for sure, like, the appropriate language or format or article or whatever it is that you say it's wrong. You need to know also the correct version for it. Of course, you can Google it because it's, like, we're online, but just in case, be prepared to have the legal basis as well. Okay, so final tips. Before I also ask my colleagues if and hopefully they want to add anything to what I just said, because I feel like I spoke a lot. But nonetheless, always address the judge with your honor, even if you know them, even if they're your tutor. Do say your honor every single time. And also the presiding judge should be referred to as Madam or Mr. President. As I said before, keeping decorum is very important, especially for this project, because if the situation, was normal, this would have actually been at the ICC. So we need to keep we still need to keep that level of decorum and professionalism and so on and so forth. Also, try to not tell a judge that you will answer that question later in the argument. I know sometimes you really might not know the answer to the question, but to be honest, I think, and this is also something that I do when I do not know something, just try to say something even though it's not really relevant, because seeing as the time frame is kind of is kind of set. They're not gonna say like, oh, this is wrong, or oh, you should maybe rethink. Like, they're just gonna let you be. Of course, they're gonna deduct points because what you're saying is not really the answer to the question. But in any way, like, try to have some sort of answer. Do not say that, oh, I'm gonna discuss about this later, even though it's something that we love to use because it's a bit like a way to cheat out. But in this particular case, do not do it. Also, if you do not understand the question, you can definitely ask him to explain or clarify. But be mindful of the fact that if it's very easy, like it's something that should be yes or no, or like a very short to the point question, do not ask for them to repeat it, because it will be like a very clear sign that you do not know the answer to the question and that you're like stalling the time. So I think if it's something that genuinely, like they're saying, and it's very confusing or it's long, go for it, ask them, and maybe have the time to think about the answer. But if it's very strict and to the point, just try to answer the best that you can. And to the yes or no question situations, of course, you first need to start with yes or no, but do not forget to also elaborate, because if you just keep it as the yes or no, I don't think they're gonna give you points for that. So you say like, yes, Your Honor, in fact, or no, Your Honor, rather, and things like this. Also very important, never speak over the judge. Let him finish whatever he's saying, he or she's saying. Be respectful, wait for him. And when you finish your argument, every single time, and I do mean every single time, thank the judge. This is very important. Do not skip this. Even if it's just something that you ask in the beginning of the session, do say thank you, judge, something like this, basically. Okay, and now the important bits, I think is very, very, of course, important for you to remember that you kind of already did this twice. So not only in skill 7, which just passed, but also with the MUN. At the end of the day, it is a speech, nothing more, nothing less than this. I think I would have put maybe different things in the presentation if the final project would have been happening at the ICC, because I think the situation would be a bit different then. But seeing as it is still online, you already know everyone, like the peers that are going to be in the room with you, or the judge and things like this. So really, there's no need for you to add any pressure on yourself. Yes, it is a very nice project. It's very important something, and it is very important for us, but at the same time, like, the setting is still online, so it kind of takes away from its magnitude, or at least I feel so. And again, you only really have 7 minutes where you need to be active. It finishes sooner than you think, trust us. I think out of all the project, it was the least time consuming, so it genuinely is the one that goes by fastest. So do not need to be very stressed about it. And also, it is not as difficult as it sounds. And we will also go over it in a minute. But yeah, those are like the important bits that I wanted to tell you about, because I think at the moment, like, the schedule is crazy for all of us. And I think like you don't really have enough, like, not enough time, but you don't really have a lot of time to prepare. So I think it's very important for us to make sure that that it is not as difficult as it sounds. It really doesn't require that much preparation. And in the end, it is quite easy. Like, we're not sure if we're supposed to say this or not, but it wasn't very difficult. It was something that was enjoyable because, you only have 7 minutes, and depending on the situation, and I will ask now all my friends who are year 3 and went through this to kind of explain their situation. But yeah, it goes by very, very, very fast. Okay, and before the question, I will stop my screen. Wait, did it stop? Please tell me yes. Yes, okay, perfect. Okay, so hi, I can now see you all. This is great. Okay, and I see that you are also talking in the chat. That's really nice. Okay, I will go over and look at that as well. But in the meantime, I will ask my friends one by one to go over their experience and say who they represented and how it was for them and things like this. So whoever wants to go first, please go ahead.
Well, I can go first because I will keep it very, very, very short. I think out of all of them, this was one of the projects that I kind of erase it from, the whole experience. I don't know. So, but now, re-listening to Mara's presentation and everything, one thing that I would like to advise, and I know it might be like it's obvious, but still remember to include a lot of, legal basis, and every single thing that you say, support it with legal basis, because maybe, might not be entirely not correct, but still, as long as you can, as long as you can supplement it with legal basis, it's gonna be all right. And not only, and it's not enough to say, oh, Article 6 of the Rome Statute, or like actually case law and all these things. And because I don't have my my speech, but I do remember that that's one of the things that, for example, I did not do enough. I do remember I used like some literature and things as well, but this why, like, one of the reasons I do remember my argument was not convincing enough, because it was lacking the legal basis. And the same for the rebuttal. As long as you are like supported with legal basis, then there isn't like right or wrong, even though there is, but still, like legal basis. And and for the questions, I cannot really say too much, because my assessor did not ask questions. Or sorry, she actually asked, I do remember she asked one question, but it was kind of like a silly one. She just asked me where did I find some information, and I just referred her to the actual document, which was something that we were like a report or something that we were given. So yeah. I know how helpful it was, but yeah.
No, thank you so much. Sarah or Ada or Danielle or David?
I can go next. Okay, like Bianca said, I think this event, first of all, you're all online. And let's be honest, online events, presentations are much easier and are actually in our favor, because you can just open the screen and actually read from A to Z. So then it just requires you to have some acting skills and pretend you're not reading. So so first of all, we were lucky and you are lucky. And like Bianca mentioned, you do need to use sources. For example, be specific as well. Don't just say, for example, in the Katanga case, actually say in the pre-trial chamber 1 in the Katanga case, and so forth. And use phrases like the OTP submits, the OTP holds, the OTP stresses, and use strong languages like intentionally, reasonable grounds, so you stress on the point, so it like plans in the judge's head. And my question, I don't remember specifically, but I do know she was asking me to clarify more on a specific case. So maybe have a short document explaining, like a summary of what the Tadic case was about, or the Bemba case about, the Katanga case, what it was about, because I had a question on one of those. And also in my speech, I noticed that I said a lot of times the phrase Madam President. So or if it's not a woman, you say Mr. President, then also use that. And at the end, I'm ready to answer any of your questions, but for now, I'll pass the floor to Ada.
Yes, so basically I wanted to mention that all the documents that you guys prepare, like the individual tasks, the group tasks, were very useful, because I remember that we had weekly tasks and this was quite consuming, but in the end it was very valuable for the final event. And as the other girls said, it's really important to include legal basis, because for the rebuttal, I was the office of the prosecutor, and because I was the first one for the rebuttal as well, I was kind of confused in what to do and what to say. And I reinforced an argument of the competent authority of Bangladesh regarding one of the article. And that's why I'm saying this is really important to mention the legal arguments, because basically if you have a legal background and facts and cases, you can support your argument and basically be really confident on your speech. And for the questions, I had I had Mrs. Lewis, if I'm not mistaken, yes, and she asked me something to explain a bit about Bemba case because I reinforced that article, that argument of the Bangladesh. I also include an article and I supported with the Bemba case, and she asked me to, I don't know, to explain the final decision and how it's relevant for the situation that I'm exposing. So basically that was it. That was it. Yeah.
Thank you. I also see a hand, but after everyone goes through their bit, but what they were asked, I'm gonna go to the questions. I hope that's okay. So Danielle or David? Oh, Sarah, actually.
I just want to say something little. So then that's a trick. So if you're going to mention one of the cases, then you're more likely going to be asked about the case. So I advise everyone to do that, but on condition that you have the explanation of the decision of each case. So that's a trick.
Yeah, basically make sure to actually know what you're saying and the background information, because otherwise you can say something, very smart, cite 300 cases, but then you maybe don't know what are they about, and stuff. So also make sure that you know what you're mentioning and citing.
I represented the amicus curiae sort of independent investigation, and the main thing I would recommend, as well as what everyone else has said so far, sort of really sort of good advice there. But I'd say probably confidence and decorum is the biggest thing that I focused on. I remember before the event, I'd dress up smart, put on the suit and tie, because that gives me confidence personally. And if you know the stuff sort of through and through, really properly, as was just mentioned, it's surprisingly easy to come across with confidence. And you can, when someone else, you want to respectfully disagree with another party, to have you bring your sort of disagreement with confidence, but whilst staying respectful. I think the lecturers sort of really like that and appreciate that. Yeah, that's what I got.
Thank you. And just before you go, David, actually also in the grading criteria that you have for this particular assessment, 3 out of the 5 things that you will be graded on are basically how you actually do the speech, like delivery, how responsive you are. So keeping in mind that you'll have the camera open, try to nod, when someone says something that you agree with. Do not be disrespectful or do any funny faces, because I think they will deduct points on that. And of course, the court demeanor. And here, you just need to basically sit how we're sitting, because in the worst case, maybe you fell off the chair or something. But even that, I don't think they're gonna take points. So in any case, just try to stay still and try to look engaged, even though maybe you are not, but try to nod when appropriate. And yeah, just be kind of serious. Okay, David, you have the floor.
Thanks. I agree with everything that was said so far. I just want to add that try not to turn this into a political debate. This is not MUN, it's a court case. You got to keep it legal, try to present the facts, and just make your argument go across. At the same time, I also agree with what Mara said in the end. Please don't smile, guys. This is a case about genocide and forcible transfer. The last thing you want to do here is laugh or smile in the court. It's not something that will be encouraged. And of course, something that the judges will really appreciate is to speak loudly and clear. That is something that will really get you a lot of points, because yeah, everyone, I understand that we are not native English speakers. Not everyone is able to speak English clearly, but still, if you raise your voice and you try to speak slowly, it's going to be very helpful for you. And please also have in mind that this is an online event. So all these online difficulties make it even more hard for the judge to hear what you're saying. So you really don't want to take chances with this. And yeah, basically this is all what I wanted to say. Just to stay calm. It's not the end of the world. It's see it as an experience for you that will help you grow. So yeah, that's all I had. Thanks.
Thank you. And yeah, because I don't think I said it, in case it wasn't obvious, because all the examples were from the Office of Public Counsel for Victims. That's what I was last year. I also had like a very fortunate situation because I had Mr. Garlic, who's also a judge, but he was also on the verge of leaving the program. So he was very nice. He didn't ask any questions. We didn't even do rebuttal. It was very easy. I said, like, as I said, my camera didn't even work. He didn't say anything to me. And in the end, I think everyone in my room, including me, who had all these problems and like technical situations, got very, very good grades. And also keep in mind that this is your last project, you know, it's close to the end of the year. They're not gonna make this into the most difficult one. They're not gonna be very strict on it, you know, because it's the last one that you have, unfortunately. So I think do not panic, you know, try to be as prepared as possible, but do not think it's gonna be the most difficult out of all of them just because it's the last one. Okay, and without further ado, we will go to the questions. I see there's a hand, so Agnes, please go ahead. Or it was?
Yes, I had two questions. For the immune project, we got an overview of all the other documents of other parties. Did you guys get the same as well?
Here, like a classical example, can you please repeat the question? Because I don't really know what to answer.
Well,
we did not get any preview. Sorry, we did not get any preview. You just you sort of have to anticipate what your opposing counsel will say. So
right. Okay.
You can always ask your friends, you know, the same as Emian, you just exchange papers and.
Okay.
Yeah,
and my second question was, in your examples and in the when the other speakers were speaking, I noticed that you guys avoided the word alleged. Is that done so like purposefully or?
Well, it depends, I think, who you represent, because, you know, if, you know, I'm defending those actions, then I would say alleged, because if you don't say alleged, then it you kind of send the message that, you know, you think they actually committed the crime. But, you know, if you represent the victims, or, you know, then in that case, you again, I wouldn't say alleged. I will, you know,
make statements, right?
Yeah, I agree. It goes back to what Sarah was saying, is that you need to be kind of very, very sure of what you're saying in your strong language. I checked now my speech. I didn't use allegedly at all. So I think just, you know, just use very, very strong and convincing language. And maybe Sarah, you can give again the examples that you said a bit earlier.
Yes, because just exactly what Bianca said. Obviously, if you're going as the OTP, so the prosecutor, you're not going to say the word alleged, because then it looks like it's not actually happening, and that's not what you want. If you're on the other side, of course, use that word. And yeah, the words I used were, I deleted the file because I was like, okay, I'm done with this. But I highlighted like the words intentionally, stateless, you know, like you want to, you know, use strong words. And yeah.
And also don't forget to use the appropriate language when you're referring to what happened. So you need to say, like, you know, unrightful imprisonment, deportation, torture, genocide, like use the correct words, not the sort of like yeah.
And sorry. And maybe like try to use even like some, you know, wording of like the Article 6 or, you know, some cases, so then you kind of make a connection that, you know, they are the same and it actually happened. Of course, if you're representing, you know, like someone like the OPCV, which by the way I represented, And also for the victims, maybe what Mara says, you know, put a little of emphasis, you know, like, because you're representing the victims and you want justice for the victims. So, you know, you can put a little of emphasis and, you know, you're like justice. So,
Right. I'm also representing the OPCV, and in one of my tasks, actually a lot of my tasks, I was I was referencing articles like journal articles, not like from the UN or anything, but journalistic articles. Do you guys do that as well, or do you think I should stay away from that because it's not official?
Can I answer that?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so you do want to, of course, it's always nice to have some authorities, some academic authorities to support your arguments, but not 100%. Try to stick to the law and add just a few authors. Also,
Right.
you never know. Some of the judges might actually have written something about the topic, the teachers who are acting as judges. So you might want to do some research on that, and maybe it helps.
Yeah. Did you guys get to know beforehand who your judges were? Or
We are actually saying also in the chat that I think it was when they sent the invitation for the call, because of course you're gonna see who sent the invite, and yeah. But I to be honest, like, it depends, because some of the lecturer might send it in advance, some of them the same morning. I know they are supposed to do it like the same day, but some of them just send it, like maybe the day before, so that you don't really know.
I would assume I would assume this time that they will send it to you a bit in advance, because last year I remember that until the week where the final event happened, they told us basically that they still wanted to have it in person, even though it was during the whole lockdown situation. So for us, it was very last minute decided that, oh, for sure you're going to have it, like online. So the information was given to us last minute, but it might also be the case that you're just going to find out when they call you. Because I remember for me it was the same. So it's not ideal, but at the same time you kind of know already everyone. So as soon as you see who it is, you kind of know who to expect in a way. And just before I go to the other two questions, I know that here there's also Charlotte. I don't know if she can open the camera or not, but thank you so much for joining. For those of you who don't know, she was the former vice president of ILSA, so not this year, last year. If you can also tell us a bit about your experience and everything like this, because I know you're also helping with organizing this project this year, right? So you have maybe inside information.
Yes, thank you. And thank you everyone for having me here. I'm currently helping coordinating and organizing the ICC Moot Court competition, the actual one. So I have some tips actually from last year, just like everyone. I represented the prosecutor, and for my case, I got interrupted a lot by the judge with a lot of questions. And the worst part is that my judge got a very bad connection. So technically, she couldn't really hear anyone's properly. So one tip for that is that she initiated you to type your answer in the chat after you presented it for the questions that she has for you, and do that. Please do that. Don't just, I will get back to you and you never actually answer it. That you will get deducted for sure. Also, very minor notices is the timing. You will also have your timer next to you. Try to put it somewhere that you don't have to look down too much, because they will probably think that you're looking at your notes or something like that. Turn off your alarm sound. It happened in my courtroom that someone forgot, and then it just has noises. When you do the rebuttal, as a prosecutor, I honestly, just like Ada, I was like, okay, what should I do? Should I rebut or should I reinstate my argument? And it really depends on your position, but for the prosecutor, I just reinstate my argument and also include some of the arguments that I found interesting for my part. It really shows that you're attentive. For someone who really wants to do the ICC Moot Court in year 3, this is a chance for you to actually practice. So take it seriously. And like everyone said, don't take it too serious, like in a way that is too pressure. that you really panic or blank out during the session, just be confident, and I think you will get through it. So yeah, my very last tips is to not to conflict your own arguments. So this happen a lot when your main pleadings say one thing, and when you answer questions is another thing, and when you rebut it's another thing. So the judges will observe and they will feel like you're not sure about your own arguments, you don't understand the facts and stuff like that. So be very careful, but that's just my tips.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I see we also have some questions in the chat. For the first one, I don't know if there was any one of us here who was against Myanmar. I know it's not very, very fortunate, but I think almost all of us here were either OTP or the Council for Victims. So, we're not really sure what information to give you specifically for this. Maybe Daniel wants to say something.
Yeah, I was the independent investigation amicus curiae, but we ended up deciding that since I can't remember the exact situation, but I think it was like funded or created by Myanmar. So if you're in a situation like that, it might be that they would actually be for Myanmar in that situation. We did that because it was just more fun to go kind of fight a more difficult fight effectively. In that way, I think it's as the independent. You are the question said independent, so you can go either way, and effectively also the same. You can review the other arguments or reinforce your own on the stance. So I don't think it should be any problems. The only problem will be something like the office of the prosecutor suddenly being for Myanmar when they're supposed to be prosecuting, but you're given quite, as an independent committee of inquiry, I forget the exact wording, but you're kind of a bit more free than some of the other people. So should I do the question?
Which one?
I think we...
Oh, we have a hand up. Wait.
Yeah.
Yes, please go ahead, Gustavo.
Yes, I asked the question. So if I get it right, there is no right or wrong way to go. It is up to you whether you argue in favor of Myanmar or against it, right?
I think so, yeah. I don't think they're going to say, oh, an independent, in this scenario, the independent, the ICOE would have done this, so we're going to mark you down. I think you're, unlike all the other parties, you're free to go either way, so I wouldn't worry.
Yeah, correct me, Daniel, if I'm wrong, but I think that maybe then here it's where, it's more important, even more important to have a legal basis, because in the other parties, they might, be a little biased because they actually want, to prove their position. But since, this is more independent, the fact that you base your arguments on a legal basis, and in an objective way, it's even more important, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I think amicus curiae literally translates as like sort of friend of the court. So you are kind of a bit more outside in that way. So a legal basis is definitely really important, and also making your stance really sort of almost painfully clear of how you see this issue, just so they're not confused if you're going for or against. Like in one of the first lines of your main argument, you can say, we believe the court should grant or deny this jurisdiction, and then go into your reasons, and you can conclude with that same sentiment, that same message.
Okay, thank you. We also have one question in the chat, which is from Naomi, and it asks, in how far is the current situation in Myanmar considered? I'm representing the competent authorities of Myanmar, but I'm not sure who those are after the military coup. Okay, so here I think the very famous phrase, it's a gray area, kind of is applicable, but I would suggest you just focus on the facts that you are given in the course descriptions in the articles, because whilst they might appreciate, that you have actual current knowledge of the situation, they would themselves are basing the entire project on the facts that you are given. So in a way, just try to focus a bit more on that. And I would suggest you don't really address, you know, the things which you know but are not in the articles or the course description, because maybe I think I don't know, you make it a bit more difficult for yourself, I think. But maybe that's just my opinion. In any event, just try to always refer back to to everything that you did, and also the course description and the articles which were provided for you in the course description.
Okay, can I maybe ask one further thing? Thank you so much for the answer already. I'm just a bit concerned if maybe another group is going to use something that is happening right now against Myanmar in that sense. So I remember for the MUN there was like, okay, you can't use sources after 2018, but we don't have this right now. So it's just a concern that someone is also double thinking in this regard.
No, I definitely see where you're coming from, but you also have to remember that, as we said, even in the rebuttal stage, there's not going to be a debate of back and forth, and you can choose yourself if you want to correct that person if you believe that fact was wrong or not. If you, I think if the situation arises, no one is going to point out, or if they're going to point out, you can just say concretely where you got your information from, because that shows that you have the argument that you made was based on something concrete, you know, like you say specifically like Your Honor, the information that the whatever you are, I think your authorities of Myanmar is using is from blah 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 and blah blah blah, and then you restate again everything that you said, because then the party who said things different than you cannot then go back to if that makes sense, you know, like it's in the end you kind of defend your argument by saying what you used, like the legal basis, and that's it. But if any of my colleagues want to add anything, sorry.
No, just actually what Sarah already wrote in the chat. If you're not using, you know, case law, some, you know, article statutes, this type of, you know, legal basis, then maybe instead of, you know, like an article from New York Times or something like that, use the UNCHR reports and, you know, stuff like this, which is more, say, attainable, yeah, more correct.
Yes.
More accurate, and, you know, they give more credit to this.
Are there any other questions? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not see any other one in the chat. Just the one about where you're going to find out who exactly will be the judge, but that, you know, depends. It's not something that, I know you don't really want to hear this, but as always, I think it's the standard practice for our program. We will see. Hopefully we get it. Most likely you will find out sooner, closer to the event. But yeah, like I don't see any other questions. If you have any other questions, if not, maybe we can all just say like our final thoughts on this. And Charlotte as well, if she wants to, and she's still here. You're muted, Bianca.
Oh no, just saying. Yeah, I know she had to go, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem. Do you want to start, Bianca, and give your final?
Yeah, basically, everything that, you know, be confident, be engaged, you know, posture, attitude. Don't have like all the documents on your computer open, because I mean you like the judge will see your eyes going, you know, in all the directions, and try at least to know, as Mara mentioned, the part in the beginning, and at least the roadmap to that one, to have to memorize it, let's say, and then, you know, further details of the argument you can always, you know, have a note next to you or something on your computer, but try not to read everything, because I mean, after 1 year of like online education, they can tell by now who reads and who is actually, you know, knowing their stuff. And yeah, legal basis, that's what I can say, because that's one thing my mistake from last year. So yeah, and good luck.
Sarah?
Yes, no, that was valuable advice. I do not say the same thing again. I would just say fake it till you make it. So just act confident. Like, none of us are confident. We're all shy. We're all get nervous. So just obviously prepare, be aware, and just act confident. Do things like Daniel said, dress up, look like you care. I know you all do, and like put the laptop in a certain way so they see you fully. And yeah, good luck and have fun.
Thank you. David, Daniel.
Okay. Yeah. Same thing as is being said. Really. Again. I think confidence. Really know your stuff as well. Like, you know, like Bianca said, the legal basis for everything, and if you know that sort of like really properly, you know the situation. You've that can already take you quite far. Just knowing I think it's in the course description. They give you the whole situation that really closely and commit that to memory as much as possible. It can take you quite far, because I think some of the questions in our room were actually just about what the situation is and clarifying, and some people weren't always so sure and convinced, and it opened them up to a very easy disagreement, rebuttal argument. But yeah, apart from that, good luck and have fun.
Yeah, I again agree with everything that was just said. You guys just try to stay sharp, and it doesn't last for too long. I saw it's only 45 minutes. That's nothing, literally. I think everyone here has been through more difficult amounts of time than that. So this is, I think this is just an exercise. Just see it as an exercise and try to enjoy it as much as possible, because yeah, it's one of those exercises that makes you learn something. So yeah, have fun.
Yeah. And it's the last one, your last ever project. So enjoy it, because you won't miss it next year.
Enjoy it before you have to do the research lab.
That's what I was saying. Like, I wanted to say, actually, now you might say like, oh, I'm very happy that we're finally finished with projects. I would very much like to have one more project and not have what we did this year. So do try to enjoy it, because you will miss it a bit. Ada?
Yes, okay, so what can I say more? That it would certainly have been more interested to do this in the courtroom, but imagine that you are there and that you are as involved as possible in this kind of situation. And I think the most important thing is to believe in what you say. And good luck and have fun.
Thank you. And 2 more things before you go. So yeah, just stay here a bit. One thing that David said, and I think is very important, and I was actually thinking, thank God my camera didn't work last year, is to be serious, because I know that I'm quite like a smiley person when I speak, but do not do that. Try to be, because as David said, like, this is a very serious situation, which is also real. So you need to be very respectful to that and be serious, which is something that I know some of us struggle with, but try to keep it, to channel your inner serious self. And one thing which I think will be very, very helpful for you guys is actually an event which we have tomorrow, and is an ILSA talks, and is with the ICC judge. So I think you should definitely try to be there. I will butcher his name, I apologize, but the judge is Raul Cano. Bianca.
Yeah, I tell you, it's the ICC judge Pangalangalang. Sorry, I am terrible, but yeah.
No, he's a very respectful judge, and I think definitely to be there. The event is at 6 on Teams tomorrow. Yeah. So we hope to see you there. And also, if you're looking for sort of like what, like proper decorum should be for this event, I think you should definitely check the events we have next week, which is, and this is like a breaking news situation. It's the first time that you're hearing this, because we haven't announced it yet. But basically, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we'll have the second edition of the ILSA Diplomacies Days, which is, of course, with ambassadors, who are people who need to keep the decorum at all times. So I know it's close to the project, but I think it will be very useful for you to be there and kind of see what that language should transpose on camera, and how the seriousness should be conveyed, even in a virtual settings. So I really hope that I will see some of you, if not all of you, please, in both the events tomorrow and next week. And thank you again for being here, and for participating so actively in all the projects that we do. We really hope that that this was helpful for you. We know it wasn't the longest simulation that we did, and maybe we didn't have as much information as before, but it's short and it's fairly easy. So yeah, just try to be as prepared as possible, and definitely try to enjoy it, because it will be your last event. But yeah, I think that was it from our side. Yes? Okay, thank you so much for joining. I hope you have a great day, a great weekend, and good luck with all the things that we have to do, exams and everything like this. Thank you very, very much. And yeah, I hope you enjoy your days.
Bye, everyone. Good luck.
Bye. Good luck.
Bye-bye. Good luck.
Bye everyone.
For joining.